Today it's windy in Dorset. We're going to strip the underside of the car to get the gearbox out and hopefully end up with a clutch to change. So I'm going to pull out the drive shafts next. We're going to start on the inner bits, the inner joints, which have 6mm hex bits. I always hammer these in because you really don't want them stripping. They're way less fun to come out that way. So let's hope none of them round, let's hope they all come out. Keep you updated. Now this is a pretty good reason to clear out the inside of your bolts. First I thought it was a 6mm hex, but I was wrong. It was, what it actually was an M8 multi-spline, so that's why the first one rounded. Needed a multi-spline on it. But yeah, check your bolts before just cracking on. Luckily we got away with it, so next we are going onto the hub nut. We are going to crack it off and then we are going to chisel, we're going to take a punch it back from the hub and then hopefully remove the drive shaft towards the centre of the car. So hub nut off, it's a 30mm multi 12-point socket, there you go. Lock the disc up with screwdriver and hopefully she will come nice and easy. I lied. We've pushed the drive shaft back from the hub, but turns out there's not enough room to get the drive shaft out of the hole even when it's disconnected at both ends. So that's why VW are brilliant. Bottom 3 bolts under the hub. Can take them off, pull the hub out the way a little bit, then we'll get the drive shaft out. Coming right up. It's a 12mm. I'm going to try it on the electric gun. Basically, repeat the same procedure on the other side. Obviously, the driver's side drive shaft is longer, so it's further away from you. So you're going to have to use extensions, but use the same trick. Make sure you hammer in every single Torx bit or multi-spline bit into the bolt. Don't let it round, you'll have a good time. Let's get that dogbone mount out next, and then the engine and box will swing happily. that, man. That is a disgusting amount of corrosion all on that. On that dog bone. I suppose it lives in the salty water, doesn't it? Next up, I'm going to crack off some of the bolts. There we are. That hold the gearbox onto the engine. I'm still attached on the gearbox mount on this side, but I just prefer just cracking them off while the engine's supported a little bit. It's going to rot a fair amount because we've got no dog bone. Now to keep my gearbox bolts in order, we've got some cardboard on the go, nice bit of CAD. This is going to be looking towards the engine, written it down so there's no confusing anything. And as we take each bolt out, we're going to chuck them in the middle, and that way when they go back in, we'll know exactly where they go. That's the first two bolts out. This one goes the opposite way to which it's going through the cardboard, hence opposite. And we got the little plate off that sits kind of just above it on the picture, just around the drive shaft, a little 10mm to hold that on, so we're going to tape it on to keep it nice and safe. So I've got the lower gearbox bolts out. Next up, I'm going to tackle getting the engine mount out, and I am going to be supporting the engine on a block of wood on an axle stand, gearbox on a jack to let it down a bit gently. Let's roll. So I'm trying not to stretch any of the other lines that are attached to it. I think these two little vacuum pieces are the worst. Keep the rest of your wires with a little bit of slack in them. Now we've got all the bolts out the gearbox, and we're going to kind of pull it off onto the jack and then let that down as smoothly as possible. Well, that was an absolute battle. We've now separated the gearbox, and the difficult part, getting the drive shaft flange out from around the back of the dual mass flywheel, which is like a nice little bit of pivoting. I forgot to take off the top engine mount bracket, which I've now removed because that was in the way, and I also took out the top engine mount because that was hitting on my gear selectors. But woo, we made it. Just got to lower it out the hole the rest of the way out. We are good to go. This is what we're looking like underneath. I'm holding the sump on some wood on my little jack, and my big jack on the gearbox. Slide it out around the subframe. Tell you what, it's going to be fun putting that back in. Yep, one gearbox out of one rowdy. So That was more of a struggle than I wanted it to be. I forgot how much not fun it is not doing it on ramps at work. But we got it off. Got a clutch and flywheel. Now I don't know if we've snapped some of the, if I'm meant to have a little spring here or if that's part of the design. But we got a new one going on, so happy days. We'll give the gearbox a clean up and a degrease and make that look a little bit nicer. But I'm stoked. I'm covered in grease, but I'm stoked. It's the Audi, another step closer to driving nice finally. Alright, I'm going to go buy some dinner and edit this together. Join us in the next part. We're going to be doing flywheel and clutch bits on the Audi and hopefully getting the gearbox back in. See you next time.